Imagine waking up alone on a park bench, unable to remember how you got there, and finding a mysterious note in your hand. What would you do? In today's video, we will dive into the story of Lisa, a woman who found herself entangled in a frightening enigma, where each step revealed more secrets and dangers. Stay with us and uncover every detail of this intriguing plot. Lisa awoke with a start, the early morning chill piercing through the thin layers of her clothing. Sitting on a park bench, the discomfort and headache made her feel disoriented. The last event she could remember was a dinner with friends at a restaurant, but how she ended up there, alone and confused, was a complete mystery. The surroundings were silent, only the occasional sound of wind rustling dry leaves. The streetlights cast long shadows, creating an environment that felt both familiar and strangely unsettling. Lisa looked around, trying to find some sign of recognition, but the park seemed like a neutral, deserted place. It was then that she noticed something in her hand, a small, crumpled note with hurried handwriting. She carefully unrolled it and read the words written with a firmness that almost seemed ominous. "Trust no one. They are watching you." Reading the words made her heart race. The feeling of being watched was not new, but now it felt more palpable. Lisa struggled to remember how she had gotten there. The images of a fun night with friends were blurry and distant. Her thoughts were fragmented, and confusion dominated her. She stood up, her body still a little shaky, and decided she needed to understand what was happening. She walked through the park, looking for clues that could explain her situation. The bench where she had woken up seemed to have been placed there almost purposefully, as if it were a starting point for something bigger. The park had an old fountain in the center, and the still water reflected the city lights in a strange and unsettling way. Lisa moved out of the park, with the note clutched in her hand, and began walking through the deserted streets, trying to regain her sense of direction. She passed a street lit by neon signs, where the signs of shops and cafes flickered sporadically. The empty storefronts and the sense of desolation added to her growing unease. Lisa knew she needed to find answers, but her mind was full of questions, and the note seemed to be the only available clue. As she walked, she felt a persistent sensation of being followed, as if invisible eyes were watching her. Each time she looked back, the streets were empty. The sense of paranoia was increasing, but Lisa forced herself to stay focused. Finding someone who could offer information seemed to be the only option. She spotted a small cafe at the end of the street, its lights shining with a promise of warmth and perhaps answers. With new determination, Lisa headed for the cafe, hoping that the familiarity of the place could provide a clue about her recent past and, who knows, help unravel the enigma that was becoming more confusing by the minute. Lisa approached the cafe, her footsteps echoing on the silent sidewalk. The place, small and cozy, seemed like a refuge in the darkness of the night. The neon lights glowed softly, promising warmth and a bit of normalcy. The glass door, with the cafe's logo drawn in elegant letters, seemed a relief to Lisa, who was feeling increasingly displaced and anxious. When she entered, a small bell tinged the air, announcing her arrival. The aroma of fresh coffee and baked croissants invaded her senses, bringing brief relief. The cafe was almost empty, with only a few tables occupied by customers who were conversing in low voices or absorbed in their phones. Lisa approached the counter where the barista was organizing some cups. "Hello, can I help you?" asked the barista, a middle-aged woman with her hair in a messy bun and kind eyes. Lisa hesitated for a moment, trying to find the right words. Her mind was still a whirlwind, and the familiarity of the cafe seemed almost surreal. She forced a smile and replied, "Yes, I used to come here a lot. My name is Lisa." She looked around, hoping something would spark a memory, but the cafe seemed even stranger now. The barista watched her with a curious look, as if trying to recognize something familiar. Then, her eyes lit up with a flash of recognition. "Lisa, I remember you. You haven't been here in a while. What happened?" Marta, the barista, leaned over the counter, seeming genuinely interested and concerned. Lisa tried to remember specific details she could share, but the memories were hazy. She decided to be honest, though she omitted the note and her current confusion. "Actually, I'm not sure. I I woke up in a park, and I'm a bit confused about how I got there. Lisa hesitated. Can you help me remember anything? Maybe I left something here? Marta looked at Lisa with a growing expression of concern. Without answering immediately, she walked to a small office in the back of the cafe. Lisa watched intently, feeling increasingly nervous. After a few minutes, Marta returned with a brown envelope in hand. You left this here, Marta said, handing the envelope to Lisa. I found it on your last visit. I thought it might be important. Lisa took the envelope with trembling hands. It was a bit crumpled, as if it had been held and then hastily dropped. Her name was written on the front in careful handwriting. Without opening the envelope yet, Lisa looked at Marta. Thank you, Marta. Can you tell me more about when I was here? Did anything strange happen? Marta frowned, looking puzzled. Nothing strange that I can remember. Just that you came here often, but in the last few weeks you haven't shown up. She paused, as if trying to remember more details. There was a man who used to meet you here. Do you remember him? The mention of a man made Lisa's mind spin. No, I don't remember, she replied, frustrated. What did he look like? Marta shook her head. I'm not sure. He wasn't a regular customer. He always seemed hurried and nervous, like he was waiting for someone. Lisa felt a chill down her spine. Her instinct told her that this man might have something to do with her current situation, but she had no way to confirm. She opened the envelope and found a folded note inside. Carefully, she unrolled the paper and read the words written. What you seek is where it all began. The words echoed in Lisa's mind. What could where it all began mean? She looked around, trying to find any clue that could help decipher the message. The familiarity of the cafe was a small comfort, but it didn't seem to provide any concrete answers. Thank you, Marta. Can you tell me more about when I was here? Did anything strange happen? Marta furrowed her brow, looking puzzled. Nothing strange that I can remember. You used to come here often, but you haven't shown up for the past few weeks. She paused, as if trying to recall more details. There was a man who used to meet you here. Do you remember him? The mention of a man made Lisa's mind spin. No, I don't remember, she replied, frustrated. What did he look like? Marta shook her head. I'm not sure. He wasn't a regular customer. Always seemed hurried and nervous, like he was waiting for someone. Lisa felt a chill down her spine. Her instinct told her that this man could be connected to her current situation, but she had no way to confirm it. She opened the envelope and found a folded note inside. Carefully, she unfolded the paper and read the words written. What you seek is where it all began. The words echoed in Lisa's mind. What could where it all began mean? She looked around, trying to find some clue that could help decipher the message. The familiarity of the cafe was a small comfort, but it didn't seem to provide any concrete answers. Thank you, Marta. This was very helpful, Lisa said, trying to hide the frustration in her voice. I need to go now, but I'll come back if I need more information. Marta nodded, looking concerned as Lisa headed for the exit. Lisa knew she had to follow the clue in the note and find the beginning mentioned. She walked down the street, passing the same park where she had woken up. The place seemed even more sinister as the night progressed. Her mind was full of questions as she walked. Where it all began could refer to a physical place, an event, or a phase of her life. She decided she needed to investigate further and resolved to go to the apartment where she had lived years ago, a place that still held some sentimental value. The journey to the apartment seemed endless, and Lisa began to feel more vulnerable. The sensation of being followed returned, with footsteps echoing behind her, but when she turned to check, there was no one. The fear was becoming palpable, but Lisa forced herself to continue, knowing she had to face whatever lay ahead. Finally, she reached the old building where the apartment was located. The building looked tired and worn by time, but still familiar. Lisa climbed the stairs, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. When she reached the apartment, she used a spare key she still had, remembering the safety her old home offered. The apartment was as she remembered, with the same simple furniture and the smell of old wood. Lisa went straight to the bedroom, where she knew she had hidden some things. She began to rummage through drawers and cabinets, looking for any clue that could explain the note. As she searched, she found an old box at the back of a closet. It was a keepsake box, full of personal items and old documents. Lisa began to examine the contents, which included photos and mementos from her past life. Among them, she found a leather-bound diary. The diary seemed to be in good condition despite having been stored for a long time. With trembling hands, Lisa opened the diary and began to read. The pages were filled with notes and thoughts from a simpler period in her life. As she went on, the entries became sparser and more fragmented, as if someone were trying to hide something. Finally, she found words that seemed to stand out. "I discovered something troubling. There is a deeper plot than I imagined. I need to be careful. They are watching. If something happens, leave clues for myself." The beginning is where it all started. Lisa read the words multiple times, trying to understand what was happening. The words seemed to confirm her suspicions that something sinister was at play. The diary seemed to be a key piece of the puzzle, and Lisa needed to uncover what else was hidden. The sound of a door opening below made Lisa stand up quickly. She felt a wave of panic and hid behind a curtain, watching carefully. There was no one visible, but the feeling of being watched intensified. Lisa decided it was time to leave the apartment and seek more information about what was going on. As she descended the stairs, her heart pounded in her chest. She needed to find someone who could help her understand the diary and the enigmatic message she had received. Her next destination would be an old friend, Mark, who, although she hadn't seen in years, might still have the answers Lisa was looking for. The night was cold and silent as Lisa made her way to Mark's house. Every shadow seemed a threat, and fear was constant. But Lisa knew she needed to face the unknown to solve the mystery and find the truth behind the message she had received. Mark's house was an oasis of normalcy amid the chaos Lisa was facing. Located in a quiet neighborhood, the brick house seemed warm and safe. Lisa knocked on the door, her heart racing and her thoughts swirling. She hoped Mark was home and could offer some guidance on what was happening. After a few moments, the door opened, revealing Mark, a man in his 40s with a familiar look and a welcoming smile. "Lisa?" Mark exclaimed, surprised. "What are you doing here at this hour?" Lisa entered quickly, relieved to be in a familiar place, even though the reason for her visit was anything but ordinary. Mark led her to the living room, which was lit by a soft light and had a comfortable atmosphere, but also carried a sense of seriousness. "I know this must seem strange, Mark, but I really need your help," Lisa began, as she settled on the couch. "I found a mysterious note and a diary that, from what I can deduce, is part of a bigger puzzle. Something serious is happening, and I need to understand what it is." Mark looked at Lisa with a worried expression, recognizing the gravity in her eyes. "Of course, Lisa. Tell me everything that happened." He sat next to her, showing his support. Lisa took the diary out of her bag and handed it to Mark. "I found this in my old apartment. The diary has words that seem to refer to a conspiracy and someone watching me. Also, I found a note in a cafe where I used to go. It said, 'What you seek is where it all began.'" Mark leafed through the diary, examining the pages carefully. The words written were confusing and loaded with a sense of urgency. "This is more complex than I imagined," Mark murmured as he read the passages. "It seems you were involved in something very serious." Lisa leaned forward, anxious. "What do you think this means? Why would someone be after me?" Mark closed the diary and looked at Lisa with a serious expression. "The entries suggest you were involved in a secret organization. You might have discovered something important, something someone didn't want to be revealed. The fact that they're after you means a lot is at stake." Lisa felt a chill down her spine. "But what exactly did I discover? What's at stake?"
Mark sighed.
"I don't have all the answers, but I can help you investigate. First, we need to understand better what's being hidden. Let's review the diary and try to find more clues. Also, it's important for you to stay safe. If they're really after you, we need to take precautions." The action plan seemed simple, but Lisa felt a wave of relief knowing Mark was willing to help. They spent the next few hours reviewing the diary, trying to decipher the cryptic messages and find clues about the mentioned conspiracy. As they worked, Mark made some calls to old contacts, trying to gather additional information about possible threats and available resources. Lisa, meanwhile, mentally revisited recent events, trying to connect the puzzle pieces. Finally, Mark found a particularly revealing entry in the diary. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a specific page. "Here, there's a reference to a place you mentioned in the note, where it all began. It seems like a specific location." Lisa examined the entry and read aloud. "The truth is hidden where the journey began, the place that represents the beginning of everything. If you find what's there, you'll find the answers you seek." "This seems to refer to a specific place in your past," Mark commented. "It could be where you started your career or a significant event in your life." Lisa thought for a moment. "I remember a project I started years ago. It was something that would change everything for me, but it ended up being a complicated period. The office where I worked back then might be a place to investigate." Mark agreed. "Then, let's go there. It could be dangerous, so we need to be cautious." They prepared to leave, checking they had everything they needed. Mark prepared a small emergency kit with essential items and communication devices to ensure they could stay in touch if needed. Lisa, on the other hand, felt a mix of nervousness and determination. When they arrived at the location, the office was closed and looked abandoned. The building was an old office structure with a facade worn by time. The gate was locked, but Mark used his skills to unlock it and allow entry. Lisa and Mark entered carefully, keeping silent. The office interior was dusty and disordered, as if it had been abandoned for years. Dim lights filtered through dirty windows, creating a sinister atmosphere. They explored the office attentively, looking for anything that might provide useful information. The place was full of old files and papers scattered across tables and drawers. Lisa began to rummage through the documents, trying to find something related to the project she remembered. As they searched, Mark found a folder marked with the symbol of a secret organization. He opened it, revealing documents and reports detailing espionage activities and covert operations. It was evident that the office had been a center of operations for clandestine activities. Lisa flipped through the documents, her heart racing as she began to connect the pieces. "This is unbelievable," she said, almost in disbelief. "It looks like I was involved in something much bigger than I imagined." Mark looked at the papers with a worried expression. "Yes, and that means you could be in real danger. We need to act quickly and cautiously." As they continued examining the documents, they heard a noise coming from outside. Someone was approaching the building. Lisa and Mark exchanged worried glances. "Quick, we need to get out of here," Mark whispered. "We can continue the investigation elsewhere." They left the office quickly, avoiding being seen. The sense of danger was palpable, and Lisa felt she was getting closer to uncovering the truth, but also at greater risk. They returned to Mark's house, where they continued reviewing the documents more calmly. The material revealed the depth of the conspiracy and the importance of the information Lisa had discovered. The secret organization was involved in activities that could have major implications for national security. Lisa and Mark devised a plan to expose the truth. Knowing this would mean facing great dangers. They needed to gather all the evidence and ensure the conspiracy was revealed to the public. Mark prepared a safe hideout for Lisa while they prepared the information release. The following days were intense and full of preparation. Lisa and Mark worked tirelessly to ensure the truth was exposed, facing threats and challenges along the way. The sense of urgency was constant, but Lisa was determined to see justice prevail. As the truth began to emerge, Lisa knew there was still much to do and the danger had not ended. But with Mark's support and her determination, she was ready to face whatever came next. The hideout Mark prepared for Lisa was a small house in a rural area, far from the city's hustle and bustle. It was the kind of place where time seemed to slow down, providing a sense of safety and calm. However, Lisa knew this peace was temporary. The battle to expose the conspiracy was just beginning. Mark and Lisa had spent the last few days organizing the collected evidence and preparing a plan to release the information to the public. Mark contacted his old colleagues and used his connections to ensure the information was released effectively and safely. Lisa, for her part, was reviewing the documents and preparing for the possible reaction from those involved in the conspiracy. As the team worked on the release, the feeling of tension increased. With each new update, Lisa wondered if they were doing the right thing and if the truth would finally be revealed. The insecurity was constant, but the determination to bring justice motivated her to move forward. "Is everything ready?" Lisa asked, looking at Mark as he reviewed the final details of the release. "Yes, everything is ready," Mark confirmed, looking at the monitor. "The evidence is organized, and the media channels are prepared to release the story." "What about security?" Lisa asked, with a note of concern in her voice. "We are taking all necessary precautions," Mark replied, trying to reassure her. "We have already alerted the authorities and ensured that the release will happen in a coordinated manner." The moment to reveal the truth had finally arrived. Lisa and Mark closely monitored the news and social media, watching the impact of the information. The evidence was released in a series of reports and press statements, exposing the extent of the conspiracy and the corruption within the secret organization. The evidence included documents detailing money laundering and the trafficking of confidential information, records of conversations exposing the leaders' plans to eliminate political adversaries and protect their interests, evidence that high-ranking public officials were involved, facilitating the organization's illegal operations in exchange for favors and bribes. Lisa was a former agent of a secret organization known for its shady operations and involvement in illicit activities. During her career, she began to notice irregularities within the organization, but it was only recently that she discovered the extent of the corruption. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The media was in a frenzy, and the authorities began to act quickly. Investigations were launched, and the leaders of the secret organization were put under scrutiny. Public pressure and the revelations helped ensure that the truth was heard and that those responsible were held accountable. As the process unfolded, Lisa felt a mix of relief and apprehension. She knew that dangers still lurked, but the feeling that they were doing the right thing was comforting. Justice was being served, and the conspiracy was being dismantled. Mark prepared a new hideout for Lisa, ensuring she was safe while the situation was still volatile. Lisa was grateful for Mark's support and for having found a reliable ally amid the chaos. Her life was at risk, but she was determined to keep fighting for the truth. In the following days, Lisa received a message from an anonymous source, thanking her for exposing the conspiracy and for her courage in facing the danger. The message reinforced the fact that, despite the challenges, her fight was making a difference. Finally, after weeks of tension and uncertainty, the situation began to calm down. Those responsible for the conspiracy were arrested and prosecuted, and the secret organization was dismantled. Lisa felt a deep sense of relief, knowing that the truth had prevailed and that justice was being served. Although many challenges still lay ahead and the future was uncertain, Lisa felt confident that she had done the right thing. The experience had changed her in profound ways, and she knew that, no matter what happened, she would never be the same again. As Lisa prepared for a new life, marked by courage and determination, she reflected on the journey she had faced. The message in the note she found in the square, "Trust no one. They are watching you," seemed to have been a warning that, although frightening, had guided her in the pursuit of the truth. Lisa knew that life would continue to present challenges, but she was ready to face them with the strength and wisdom she had acquired. The fight for justice and truth was not just a part of her story, but a commitment to a better future. And so, with the truth revealed and justice underway, Lisa prepared to move forward, carrying with her the lessons learned and the courage to face any obstacle that might arise. Her journey had ended, but the story of her courage and determination would continue to inspire and remind everyone that the truth, although often hidden, always finds a way to emerge.